2020, man, it's already been quite the year. You just think through all the way from business owners and families losing their hard-earned business, their jobs completely ripped from them as a result of these COVID crackdowns and unconstitutional, unprecedented orders of these governors, but also these violent, unlawful riots and looting night after night, and it just keeps growing all across the country as these spineless politicians either just stand by and watch it happen and do nothing, or some of them even encouraging it and enabling it by defunding the police. The thing that makes 2020 different is that we have this rapid succession of abuse of power, disgraceful and disgusting abuse of power by politicians over and over and over again. State and local leaders across the country have destroyed economies and shut down businesses while they themselves have gone out into the streets and violated the very orders that they created. The duplicity, the hypocrisy is everywhere. It creates this agitation, this tension among our people that is now leading to the burning of our cities. We're watching the nation burn right before our eyes. But the conflict between the two sides, the hatred that you see, and I would argue that the hatred is coming from one side, the left. They are spewing that hatred. You see it in the riots. You see it in the vitriol that they spew into police officers' faces, and then you see it in the politicians. And you wonder why we haven't been able to come together like we normally do. And one of the reasons, obviously, is the church has always led the way in bringing unity in our communities, in our country. And yet the churches have been forced to be non-essential. We've shut down our houses of worship all over the nation. Pastors arrested simply for bringing their congregations together to worship God. We seem to have lost the ability to think critically and make decisions based on the facts, not just out of control emotions. Life as we know it has been radically changed. But let me tell you something, folks. There is hope. Millions and millions of Americans, they've watched this radical leftism, they've watched this destruction in the country, and they know that they must respond. They must fight back. They must stand up for liberty and freedom. And you know that you must stand up as well. You've got to fight back. You know that. Those millions of Americans know that, and that gives me hope. This election is the most important election in my lifetime. You cannot just sit idly by and let whatever happens. Yes, I'm talking to you. You must show up. You've got to vote. You've got to let your voice be heard. This is not an election between just subtle differences of opinion. This is an election between fundamental differences of principles. We are at the precipice of a radical shift in American politics for possibly the next century. And you have the tools that you need to influence what that history is going to look like in the next century. Become a Constitution coach. Bring people together to study that difference of principles, to study which principles work and will produce prosperity and freedom, and then be part of the solution, be the catalyst for the restoration of biblical and constitutional principles in your community, in your state, in our nation. History will be filled with much to say about 2020. Which side of history will you be on?